Welcome to another episode of B-Movie Enema, the series. I'm Jeff Arbuckle, your friendly neighborhood B-movie proctologist. Normally, I'd say I'm joined by my lovely partner, Nurse Disembody, but Cartoon Face is on location.
Jeff?
And more on that in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about this week's movie. Released in 1977, Bad Georgia Road is right in the middle of what I would call the second coming of carsploitation. You could even call this chase-sploitation. But either way, during the 70s, there was a new fascination with American auto. Movies of the late 60s and early 70s would feature all sorts of American cars chasing each other. The 60s brought with it cars like the Ford Mustang, the Dodge Charger and Challenger, the Chevelle from Chevy, and the Plymouth Barracuda, to name a few. These cars would start showing up in movies all over the place. It was almost the exclusive style of car of the American protagonist. James Bond had his high-class cars like the Aston Martin, but Steve McQueen's Frank Bullitt drove a souped-up Mustang. In fact, the Mustang would become so popular after the amazing chase scene in Bullitt that Sean Connery drove a Mustang in 1971's Diamonds Are Forever in a chase scene through the streets of Las Vegas. So about that Bullitt chase sequence, after that, cars driving fast and being chased by each other exploded in the 70s. Everyone wanted a scene like that. I would even argue that Mitchell, a movie that we watched last year, even got in the game with a couple of instances of chases using various vehicles. Another movie I covered at the B-Movie Enema blog last year was Moonshine County Express. Much like Bad Georgia Road, it would feature cars driving fast and moonshine. But with that said, let's talk to Nurse Disembody, who's currently down checking out a Bad Georgia Road. Cartoon Face, are you there?
I'm here, Jeff.
Great. How's it going down there?
Well, it's not too... Wait. Jeff, do you not see me over here in the usual place? Like, are you doing a bit? This is a bit, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Jeff, I'm in the clinic. Did you forget about the decision to not send me down to Georgia to do a stupid report about bad Georgia roads? Seriously, look a little to your right.
Oh, hey, you're here.
Yes, I'm here.
So, you didn't go to Georgia to report on a Bad Georgia Road?
No, we rode to the clinic together.
Wait, we did?
Yes, we were in the same car together. In fact, we've been in the same place, every place, together today.
Huh.
Oh God, you didn't mean for me to hear about that burning sensation the last time you took a poop, did you?
You heard about that?
You talked about it while we were riding to work this morning.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to hear about that.
Then why did you talk about it?
I thought you weren't actually there.
That is way more worrisome than your butt burns.
Oh boy, howdy, it sure is.
Let's just go to the movie, okay?
Yeah, let's do that. A Bad Georgia Road was directed by John C. Broderick. Now, Broderick did a few different things in his time with the movies. He directed 4 movies, with this one and The Warrior and the Princess starring David Carradine, and Based on Yojimbo being the 2 most recognized. Now, beyond that, he was a producer on a handful of movies like the 2 he directed, and others like Dirty O'Neill, Six Pack Annie, Jocks, and Howling Six. He mostly stuck around low-budget and exploitation-type flicks. His big contributions to bigger budget movies was as a production manager. He worked on Big Bad Mama, Lone Wolf McQuade, Down and Out in Beverly Hills, The Big Easy, and Inner Space. He met his wife while working on the Richard Dreyfuss and Raul Julia comedy Moon Over Parador, and they were together until he died in 2001 from kidney disease. I think you can put Broderick in the same group that stemmed from Roger Corman. After all, he worked on Big Bad Mama, produced by Corman. Alright, well, let's get started with Bad Georgia Road, that technically features a group of moonshiners that live in Alabama.
And was filmed in California.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we can take a look at this movie. And speaking of cars, right at the top of this movie, we'll see Gary Lockwood's Leroy driving his 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner. And we'll see you back here after the first act of Bad Georgia Road.
So, yeah, it's not that great when you continue to have these dissociative moments. Remember what Dr. Pretorius said? He doesn't want you to skip doses.
I know. I just forgot to take the pills.
It's a little worrisome that you just skipped one dose and things got a little goofy for you.
Oh, no. I didn't just skip one dose. I skipped a whole bunch. Oh, hey. So yeah, Bad Georgia Road. This is the tale of moonshiners who work for an old man who has passed away and left all of his land and supplies and what have you to his niece in New York City. That niece is played by Carol Lindley.
I have zero doubt that Carol Lindley was given just one note of direction.
Be blonde?
Be the biggest bitch possible.
Yeah, this is one of those situations in which you have an uppity northerner coming down south where things are just laid back and good old boys are just good old boys, and I guess girls know their place. I don't know if this movie is trying to say something or satirizing the two obtuse types of people as northern bitch and southern idiot. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so this old man bootlegger dies. This wouldn't normally be all that bad because business is good, and Leroy Hastings, the fast driver with a bitchin' Plymouth Roadrunner, and Arthur Pennyridge seem to be doing pretty good. But the old man left the farm to Molly Golden, an outsider.
And worse, she's a Yankee.
True. Now Leroy can keep that fast car as long as he remains employed by Molly. That's the stipulation of the will. So we meet Molly.
And she works for a marketing company or a fashion company or just a businessy businesswoman?
Yeah, I think she works for a fashion magazine, but I'm not sure what she is, an editor or a writer or whatever. But these four women reviewing this clothing line pretty much hate each other. When one tells Molly she's an insensitive asshole, what does Molly say in return?
Molly tells the woman that she bets she would love to come out of the closet and find out for herself by getting in her panties.
It's crazy. It's one of the craziest ways to introduce your movie's protagonist. It doesn't just stop there. Oh no, one of the women in this office, Hackett, tells that closeted gay woman, Chamberlain, to get the bats. Chamberlain indeed gets out these foam bats to let off their frustration. Hackett suggests that they take 5 to work it out. However, Molly gets the phone call saying that she's inherited her uncle's shit.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
It really is. Now, earlier I said that director John C. Broderick worked on some Corman films earlier on and could be considered part of that lineage. Well, Hackett, the one suggesting they beat the shit out of each other to relieve their work stress, is played by longtime B-movie actress Mary Warrenoff. Now, Warrenoff goes back to the mid-60s. She was in a lot of smaller parts and, interestingly, even played John Kennedy in a movie in 1966 called Sense, directed by Andy Warhol. I would even go so far as to say that Warrenoff was maybe the closest thing to an avant-garde B-movie queen. She did weird Warhol stuff. She did the Corman stuff like Death Race 2000 and Hollywood Boulevard, among others. She was in Oliver Stone's first film, Seizure, and she was even in X-rated stuff like Sugar Cookies, which was an early Lloyd Kaufman credit. By the 80s, she was best known as kind of an iron woman of B and small budget flicks. She even co-starred with the great Marilyn Chambers in Angel of Heat. But in 1982, her best-known role came in the fascinating dark comedy Eating Raoul. That was directed by Paul Bartel, another Corman guy, and Bartel and Warrenoff would even make cameos as their Eating Raoul characters in Jim Wynorski's Chopping Mall. Wynorski, another Corman guy. Warrenoff was always a hard-looking woman who didn't exactly carry that in an ugly way. She was the woman who had to be opposite the classically attractive leading lady. But Warrenoff had a kind of sex appeal of her own. She carried that in a way that made her seem almost too tough to approach. And I think it's possible that she took on these less sexy roles as a total opposition to her being discovered by Warhol as a dancer in his exploding plastic inevitable. I don't know. We'll see Warnoff sometime later in something else, I am sure. We'll get more into our two primary stars, Lindley and Gary Lockwood, when we come back in our next break. But Nurse, are you ready to get back to running that shine?
Sure.
You don't seem to be all that excited about it.
Oh no, it's cool. I'm ready to watch the next part.
Okay, well, we'll get back to Bad Georgia Road and we'll see you here in a short bit. Things are heating up down on the Bad Georgia Road. So, you know what all northern chicks want, Nurse Disembody.
Don't say it.
That sweet, sweet moonshine monies.
Wait.
What?
Nothing. I just thought that was going to be a whole lot worse. You know what? Don't worry about it.
Anyway, I already mentioned that Carol Lindley is playing our leading girl, Molly Golden. She was born on the East Coast and was a dancer in her youth. She then became a child model when she was in her teens. Now, she was born as Carol Ann Jones, but took the stage name Carolyn Lee, except that another child star, originally born Carolyn Kopp, had already registered that name in the Actors Equity Association. So she just went by Carol Lynn Lee, Carol Lindley. That's kind of clever. But before the age of 20, she had already appeared in a Disney Western called The Light in the Forest, and then appeared in Hound Dog Man, opposite singer Fabian and Stuart Whitman, and then played Allison in Return to Peyton Place, and then appeared in the Rock Hudson and Kirk Douglas Western The Last Sunset. After that, she appeared with Joanne Woodward in the movie The Stripper. This was based on a play about an aging actress who takes a job stripping. It was directed by Franklin J. Schaffner, who would go on to direct the movies Planet of the Apes, Patton, Papillon, and The Boys from Brazil. Now, what do those movies have in common with The Stripper? Well, The Stripper was the first time Schaffner worked with composer Jerry Goldsmith, who would also score those others, with those subsequent films all garnering Goldsmith Oscar nominations for Best Original Score. But anyway, one more interesting note about The Stripper. Joanne Woodward only got the role because it was originally supposed to go to Marilyn Monroe, but of course she died before that film went into production. In addition, Monroe's co-star would have been, if the studio or Schaffner had their way, Pat Boone. But Boone is quite religious, so he turned down the role for moral reasons. Even though Lindley was twice nominated for Golden Globes for Promising Newcomer when she first got started, she didn't get too many major roles. It was said that she was at the peak of her career in 1965. She modeled topless in Playboy that year, and she starred as Jean Harlow in the movie Harlow, as well as Bunny Lake is Missing, co-starring Laurence Olivier, and directed by Otto Preminger, but neither movie ended up being super successful, though the latter did get reappraised. She was in the ill-fated sequel Beware the Blob. In the same year, she would appear in The Poseidon Adventure and The Night Stalker, the original TV movie for what would become the series Kolchak the Night Stalker, starring Darren McGavin. She did end up in Howling 6 that Broderick was a part of, and while I've seen those movies, I wouldn't say that I know her from any one of those things. Lindley does have a recognizable face while watching this, but I can't say I would have seen her and plainly said, oh look, that's Carol Lindley right away. Lindley died in 2019 from a heart attack. But as far as for her co-star Gary Lockwood, well, he would have a couple of significant things of note. Can you guess what one of those significant things are, Nurse?
Oh, let me guess. It has something to do with Star
Trek, yep. So remember back when we watched Incubus, I said that NBC did the unexpected and ordered a second pilot?
I guess. I don't know. All these times you mention Star Trek, they start to meld together.
Anyway, that second pilot, called Where No Man Has Gone Before, was the first to feature the new captain of the Enterprise, James Kirk. That episode was about two crew members, Gary Mitchell and Elizabeth Daner, played by Lockwood and Sally Kellerman of MASH fame. obtaining some pretty scary superpowers that were something like extrasensory perception. Gary Mitchell was a good friend of Kirk since even before they went to Starfleet together, and he's kind of a pretty significant character. Anyway, like William Shatner, Lockwood was an established actor. He had been in a few movies. 2, The Magic Sword and Kitten with a Whip, appeared on Mystery Science Theater 3000, though in the second of those movies mentioned, Lockwood was uncredited. He appeared in the 1961 highly acclaimed Splendor in the Grass with Natalie Wood and Warren Beatty. However, the most enduring credit on his filmography, without a doubt, is Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. He was the other guy on the Discovery 1, Frank Poole. He was not David Bowman. That was Keir Dullea, who, interestingly, was in that Otto Preminger film with Carol Lynley. Dr. Poole was the man that HAL 9000 killed by setting him adrift from his repair pod being used outside the ship. Bowman has to go and retrieve Poole's body, and while doing so, Hal kills the other hibernating crew people and then refuses to let Bowman back into the ship. He's part of what I used to think of as the scary part of the movie when I was little. So yeah, Where No Man Has Gone Before in 2001, Lockwood was in 2 pretty big-time sci-fi things. Now beside that, Lockwood did appear in the pilot for Earth 2 in 1971. That was Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry's next shot at a TV series. Also, later in the 70s, Lockwood appeared in 6 episodes of Barnaby Jones playing 6 different characters. He even appeared in a couple of episodes of T.J. Hooker with William Shatner. Lockwood appears to have retired from acting sometime around 2004, but appeared in 2020's Unbelievable, starring Snoop Dogg and several Star Trek actors. Considering it looks like a combo of a stoner movie with Snoop, Team America with a puppet Kirk-like character, and a ton of the TNG-era actors, I might have to see this.
I know you do, but I think we need to get back to Bad Georgia Road.
Oh, do we have to? That Unbelievable movie looks pretty awesome.
We do have to. Besides, it seems like Molly and Leroy are getting a little closer. We should find out what's going on with that.
Oh, that reminds me. I was going to say earlier that it seems like Carol Lynley just needs to get a deep dose of Gary's Lockwood. Now,
What?
Well, I can't say I followed one particular thread in this movie.
Which one?
Well, the rival moonshiners, or whoever they are, like, okay, I get it. There were likely situations in which moonshiners would war over potential profits or control over the hooch and what have you. However, I can't say it really seems like it goes anywhere. It's just an excuse for chases and for a scene at the start of this final act where it's decided that they need to go get out the machine guns. The real point of this movie isn't rivalries, it's Leroy and Molly and their differences and their eventual coupling.
Yeah, I have some serious issues with their relationship.
Oh, you mean that whole thing where she wants to lord over him with her smarts and uppity behavior? Or do you mean the part where she just gets manhandled by him and she becomes, for a lack of a better term, subservient to him?
Yeah, the second one. I'm not gonna say it as icky as you did.
That's fair.
He literally attacks her. Then, after he more or less rapes her, she gives over a whole bunch of her business to him.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I do like that she has one sip of moonshine and she's hooked and becomes an absolute drunk. That was kind of funny. But wait, let's go back to the whole rival thing again. There's a scene in which one of these guys dresses up like a church lady and gets shot at by old man Arthur Pennyridge. There's that scene at the beginning where they chase Leroy around. There's the final scene where a drunk Molly wants to shoot them up with a machine gun. You know, now you'd think that the machine gun time at the end seems like it's set up to be a big deal. I mean, right? Right?
The movie just decided it was done and ended.
Yeah, I mean, they get chased, and with the little time left, I wondered if that meant they might die or something, but no, they get chased, they get away. Moonshine shit-faced Carol Lynley wants to use that fucking machine gun, but they just get away. The movie was no longer interested in going any further.
Nope.
You want to give your final thoughts on Bad Georgia Road?
Sure. Maybe Bad Georgia Road had a lot to do in Alabama. Maybe it was not even filmed in Georgia or Alabama, but in California. And that's okay. It all looks southern enough, I guess. I think Molly Golden was just a complete weirdo. First, she's a complete, giant, and huge bitch. Right from the first time you see her, she's acting like a huge asshole. Then she goes south, and you know that isn't going to get any better. She thinks she's better than everyone. She had a boyfriend, but he just leaves at one point, and the movie decides that it's just done with that guy too. And that's the other thing. She works for a magazine in New York City, right? She finds out that she has an uncle that left her his land and like $100,000. But now, if she's a normal person, and I'm pretty sure you can't count on that, she would just go down there, check some stuff out, see what's up, and then decide what to do. But no, she just quits her cushy big city magazine job and moves to rural Alabama. I guess it's a good thing that she was making a whole buttload of money in the bootlegging business. Anyway, then there's Leroy. He and Molly are the best, worst couple. This is gonna get real redneck real fast. She gets attacked by him and decides to go from their 90-10 deal to a 50-50 split. That guy must have some sort of magical ding-dong or something, because that's just insane. All that is to say that this was still a pretty fun watch. I give Bad Georgia Road 3.5 out of 5 turds. Back to you, Jeff.
Alright, well, yeah, I think Nurse Disembody has it right. Yeah, this is not a very good movie, but it is kind of a fun watch for what it is. A 70s bootlegging, car-chasing, redneck movie. Nurse Disembody even pointed out to me that every single kind of redneck in this movie says naked the same way. Yeah, that was pretty funny, wasn't it, Nurse? Huh. Nurse? Cartoon Face, are you there? Maybe she had to go to the supply closet and get some new pencils or something. Nurse?
Where is he? We're gonna be so late. Jeff, come on! We're super late. We have a movie to watch. Bad Georgia Road isn't going to watch itself. What's the matter? You still naked in there?